Hello. Hello? Okay, cool. What's up? What's up? What's good? I'm Ross Ortiz. I'm an actor. I enjoy acting. That is why I do it. How I do it takes absolutely not a whole lot. And I think it's a really great thing to do. And I'm going to be sharing my moments in acting. This is it. I always make the joke I've been acting since 2nd grade, taking it seriously since 8th grade. So let's take it from 8th grade. I did a show called Huebner the Reluctant. Here's a picture of me and my castmates in the show, and maybe another picture if I can find it.
Good evening, everyone. Mark Zuckerberg here. I'd like to present our brand new Facebook!
So, I started off with that show. I remember auditioning for it, and it was a pretty relaxed show. I made a really good friend. His name is Sawyer. I made a really good friend in that show, and it was the first time I had to deal with prosthetics and costumes. Now, at that time, I did community theater, so it was a lot of fun, and I was working with people I didn't know. That starts to become a norm in the world of acting. You're just thrown in the deep end and hoping everything will be okay. And so throughout that show, you usually try and find 1 to 2 people that you can be really close with, and then the rest is smooth sailing from there. And that person was Sawyer, and he's a really cool guy. And I've gotten to know him pretty well over the years. So, after the whole audition process, rehearsals went pretty well, I ended up breaking part of my foot. And so I had to be in a cast, and then we had to travel for the show, and I had just a blast, even with a broken foot. I can recall an exact memory, where I went and got a soda. It was a Coca-Cola, one of these, and I got a Coca-Cola past curfew, and one of our chaperones were patrolling the hotel that we were staying in, and it was kind of weird, and so I was really hoping not to run into her, and then the doors open, and then boom, there she was just right there. After I was like, oh no, I really hope I don't run into her, and then I look up, and there she is. It was a very scary time, but what was even funner was running back to my room, limping, so she doesn't get on to me anymore. And after that show wrapped up, it was a huge stepping stone for me, because not only was it a tough time in my young pubescent life, it was a tough time in general. And so I told myself, there's got to be something more out there. There's just got to be something. Because this just can't be all that there is. And so I did. Chapter 2, agencies. After I decided to just throw my name in a hat on I looked up acting agencies, and I just, I ran into a sketchy website. I was like, you know what, push comes to shove, I'll just say it was a bad experience and continue on with my life. And so I threw my hat in the ring, I signed up, put my information in, and I got a call back, and they wanted me to audition. And when they wanted me to audition, I didn't exactly know what they wanted. Until a few weeks later, they wanted a voiceover, they wanted a runway audition, they wanted an acting audition, and through that, I was pretty nervous. So the day comes for me to audition. Keep in mind, I'm in 8th grade. No, I'm going into my 8th grade year. So I'm still young. So I go into the audition room for voiceover, and they have me read an ad for pants. And I do a pretty good job at reading for pants. Wear pants. They cover your bum. That whole thing. And it worked, and they said it was, quote, thebomb.com. I will never forget that. That lady was just, oh my goodness, that was thebomb.com. And then I went on to the acting audition, and I just acted out a scene, and it worked. Went well, and then I went over to the runway audition. They lined all of us up, and we went on one at a time, and then we got off. And it was scary. I kid you not. I had to just push out whatever confidence I had stirred up. 'Cause at the time, I didn't have a whole lot. But with this, I was able to just, throw it out there. And maybe it'll stick on the wall, maybe it won't, who knows. But I got a call back, and they wanted to work with me. So I took their classes. Boom! 30 weeks later, I'm graduating, and I'm a TV certificate's actually over there. I'm voiceover, runway, and commercial acting certified, which is pretty freaking cool going into 8th grade. Boom! Now, so with that, we're gonna skim through a bit. So for the first one, Huebner the Reluctant, I learned that it's okay to make friends with people you don't know, as long as you have fun. B, 2, put yourself out there and accept that you are the shit. It is okay to notice that you are the bomb.com. You are the shit. You are that bitch. You are that person that walks into a room and is like, you know what? Today's gonna be great, and you make it great. Now, we're going on to our third story. So we're gonna kind of combine everything that I've been doing since high school. So I go into high school. It's my freshman year. I'm gung-ho, blood, sweat, and tears for the band program. And I ended up actually I actually switched JROTC for theater. So I took the last spot in theater, and I took the regular theater class. And I was, easing my way out of the shell, just a little bit, easing my way. And then I heard that there was an opportunity for a radio play, which was pretty interesting. And so I was like, all right, cool. So after doing a few video assignments through the online during COVID, I decided, you know what, I'm just going to do it. So I put my name in the hat, and I auditioned, and they gave me the dates and everything, and I started to just act in front of the directors, reading off of a teleprompter, because I didn't memorize my lines. You know the gist. And they liked it. They liked what I was doing. So they considered me for, here in Texas, we have a one-act play contest where we do a show in 40 minutes and, try and win, take first up in different ranks. And so, with that, they decided to have me audition for their show, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It was originally a movie, but we ended up doing it as a show, and to my shock, I did not realize the weight of this until years later, like 2 years later, my junior year. They gave me a supporting role, a major supporting role, as a freshman, and that was pretty crazy for me. So I played as Billy Bibbit, and had a lot of fun. But that actually taught me a lot about trying to find balance between self-discovery, to be quite honest. Figuring out, because I also had band going on, I was in marching band, and I was in theater, and it was definitely like, which one's not going to make me leave this rehearsal crying? Theater never did. Band always did. Theater left me asking more questions about what I can do to be better. Well, band was just, it just wasn't, I was scared to ask those kind of questions, and I just decided to not really mention how I was feeling, so I would just go to a stall and cry, which worked for the time. And so, a couple months go by, and we have the show polished, finished, and we're on our first round. We perform, and as a freshman, I won All-Star Cast, which was pretty crazy. And I'm not gonna lie, the seniors that year, I gotta give huge props to them, because they made it so fun. They made it really fun, and I won't forget a lot of them. A lot of them will be ingrained in my memory. This guy Tuttle, this guy Diego, this girl Cindy, Cassie. I can't forget about Cassie. All of these, Edward, all of these seniors that when I was a freshman were just the coolest people. I took note. I've been taking note from every senior since I started high school. The number one lesson I took from a senior was Diego. You gotta have a fresh drip, a fresh outfit. You gotta stay dripped out. Tuttle, don't care. It's not worth it. Have fun, right? So, sophomore year, I'm into the theater program, and I kind of have an epiphany that band isn't for me. Band is not for me anymore. So whenever my percussion instructor told me theater is not supposed to be your priority right now, you need to focus on band, that was the last straw. So I decided to just end it. So after that rehearsal, I told him I didn't want to do band anymore, and he slammed his keys on the desk, on the table behind him, and he asked me to sit in his office, and that was a long conversation between all three of those directors. I'm talking tears, snot bubbles on my end, looks from the director in front of me, and the only person, the brass instructor, was really the only person that, you know, had any kind of respect for me in that situation. They said I can, you know, stay, but if I come at them with this conversation again, then then it's not going to be a super nice conversation. And one, you know, parent-principal meeting, I was out of band. One parent-principal meeting later, that was it. I was out. And so I decided to take golf, which was pretty interesting, and I had a lot of fun with golf. I just missed too much class for it.
Go!
You see this, bro? Check it, check it, check it.
I'm checking it, I'm checking it.
Check the fit, check the form.
Damn!
So, and then going into that, that's a bit of a prologue into sophomore year. Now we're into the actual sophomore year. We're doing 80 days around the world. Bam, I pick up 4 to 5 characters to play in our fall play, which is really interesting. And boy, was that a challenge. It was separated into, I had like so many different scenes and so many different characters that one night I would study this character, one night I would study this character, one night I would study these lines, so forth and so on from the beginning. And then we get to show time, and I actually have a recording of it, and I think a picture, but no matter what, here's just something about it.
And off in the distance, the sun breaks through the clouds, and we see Yokohama! I didn't think it was possible.
It needed to be possible, sir.
At 10 a.m. the taking enters the harbor. Look, it's passport too!
Anyway, nice talking to you. Very exciting.
Sir, Passepartout is my servant.
Well, looks like we got ourselves a couple of Frenchmen here.
Mr. Crockett, you have insulted my servant and I demand you apologize.
Oh, you demand it, do you? Well, maybe we should settle this like men.
I should like that satisfaction.
Just name when and where.
Sir, I'm in a great hurry.
What's that to me?
I shall return to America and find you.
Why don't we just settle this here in the engine car?
You forget there is a lady present.
So you can leave?
I will not leave.
Monsieur, I really think you should provide to something. We're going to jump a river.
Either we settle this here and now, or I shoot you where you stand.
It is merely a plus word. Plus words are not to be feared.
Monsieur, the bridge.
Boom, there you go. So, that was a lot of fun. And then musical comes along, and turns out we're doing SpongeBob the musical. So I'm like, you know what, screw it. I'm going to throw my hat in the ring and see where it goes. I audition and I get Plankton, which was pretty interesting. So that was a lot of fun too, but I was working with different directors, so that kind of pushed me in a direction to start being more flexible, being more versatile, being more social. Even though I didn't know half the people in the room, or I didn't even know the person right next to me who was singing, I knew that if I put my best foot forward and had the greatest attitude that I could possibly have, you know, granted high school's not the greatest time, but, you know, just try and have fun, then maybe it'll be worth it. And I did have a lot of fun with that show. SpongeBob the musical wraps up, and it was a ton of fun. And then we go straight into one act. And it turns out we're also doing our fall play as our one act, our competition show. So I'm like, okay, cool. This girl drops out. And so now I am not only, we didn't have as many people. So I had to pick up 3 to 4 roles. So now I was playing 7 to 8 characters. And it was a lot. But boy was it fun. It was the greatest time that I had in high school so far, I'd say. Like, it was so much fun. And not only did that really work on unsolidifying things and keeping it open and free, it also taught me, the show taught me that comedy, you gotta be quick. On top of each other's cue lines, on top of, your energy, you have to bounce off of your scene partner. It can't just be 150% and 25% on the other person. You both have to be 75% bouncing off of each other. That way you both, by the end, or in the middle, or in the beginning, can be at 175% no matter what's going on in the scene. That's what the show taught me. The seniors that year, John was like he was the star senior in my books. And another thing that he taught me was that it's, quote, to not give a fuck. And I didn't really understand that in a way that he kind of acted. And like I look back at like a lot of the memories that we've shared together, and he didn't care about what other people thought of him. And the confidence he exuded, that he just pushed out no matter where he was, it was admirable for me. So I took note of that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to remember that. And that's going to be my next step moving forward in high school. So first off, it's to have some pretty, drippy fits. To not care in a sense that it's not super serious. You gotta have fun, So it's not really not caring, but it's mostly have some fresh fits, have fun, don't care what other people think about you. Alright? So, that one wraps up, and then we actually go into a really interesting year, actually. So, junior year, as of right now, I'm a junior. As of right now, I ended up getting new directors. My old directors left, and then I got new directors. And I was also put in a position as president of the theater program, which I was not expecting by a long shot. So I had to step up as a leader, work with these new directors, and we ended up doing a show called Harvey. Here's a photo from that. And that was a pretty tough show, I will be honest. It was just a tough show. I think the last night I almost prematurely ended the show by 15 minutes because I messed up a cue line. But I got us back on track, was able to recover somehow, which was pretty tough. But the number one lesson that I learned from there was sometimes it's okay to be not nice for the greater good. I say that because I was so used to not really letting people push me, or I'd rather, I retract that, rewind. I was so used to people walking all over me because I didn't want to upset them or be mean to them. I had to snap that into pieces. I had to snap that habit into pieces with this show because we just weren't where we needed to be, and we had a lot of distractions, and the people that were doing those distractions, I just had to flat out crack some skulls and be like, hey, cut that shit out. We don't do that here. And boom. It was a lot easier than I thought, but it was nerve-wracking in the moment. Will it be nerve-wracking in the future? Absolutely. But will it be easier? Just a bit. So, one thing I learned from that show is that being a leader, you have to make hard choices. But if you have to make those hard choices, know their worth. And know both sides of the sword. So yeah, that's really all I've got for now. I kind of just wanted to get in front of a camera and talk, because why not? Because I think it's really interesting to talk about acting and stuff. So overall, a good portion of this comes from the lesson that I learned during COVID. The COVID era, whenever we were in lockdown, 2020, 2021, I realized that there was a lot of lack of motivation. So it just got to a point where I was like, I'm tired of sitting at my desk and going to sleep. Sitting at my desk, going to school, going to sleep. I was tired of that routine. So I told myself, screw it. I'm going to go out and get busy. I'm going to go out and put myself out there. And if I stick to a wall, great. If I slide down the wall and I get stepped on, so be it. I'll get right back up. Because that's what life is all about. No matter what, you're going to be shot down. No matter what, you're going to be at the bottom of the barrel. But what you do with that is what counts. How you get up from that is what counts. What you take away from being at the bottom of the barrel and you look up, what can you take from what's going on above you, and what can you do to get back up? That's all I've got for you. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy acting a lot. If you're not an actor, I suggest you go see a show. It's a lot easier than you may think. The biggest step that newbies tend to have a hard time with is stage fright. Honestly, the best way to get over stage fright is by getting out there and doing it. It doesn't matter what skill level you are. Stage fright happens with even professionals and newbies. So no matter what, it's going to be there. It's about what you do with it that counts. Alright, I'm out of here. Deuces!